All right, guys. My guest today really needs no introduction if you are like me and a child who grew up on shows and movies with comedians to scary stuff. We're talking like Seinfeld all the way to Breaking Bad. As soon as he pops up, you're going to recognize him. Very happy and stoked to bring in actor Larry Hankin. Larry, how you doing, man?
Well, so nowadays that's a weird question to ask
that
somebody.
is that,
How am I doing? I'm doing fine. I mean, I'm not sick. That
that's
that covers it.
that,
I live in Marina Del Rey, which is Southern California, and I go outside, and it's like a city of thieves, and everybody's got a mask on.
yeah.
I don't know who's going to stick me up and who's sick or who. So I just ride my bike around people. Yeah, it's a time of avoidance,
For
and
sure.
people apologize for it too. They don't have a mask on, which I don't understand that. But they will turn like that as you pay. If you pass in this way, they'll turn like that. I was riding a bike. I had my mask on, but I was riding a bike. And sometimes I take it off. There's nobody around. I had my mask on, and a guy came out, like from between cars, and he didn't have a mask on, and he quickly ducked back and apologized. I'm sorry. I mean, it's like weird positive PTSD.
Yeah.
So that's a long answer to a very short question.
No, but I mean, I was gonna say, that. So I'm in Central California, and
Okay.
we, masks are definitely very prevalent right now, obviously. But I would much rather deal with the guy ducking in between cars and apologizing because he's not wearing one than dealing with some of the people in our town that are like, "Don't tread on me. I'll never wear a mask."
Oh man, I don't understand. And then I mean, I don't understand. It is so anti-species.
Yeah.
It is so anti-logic I don't understand it. And then there's the ones who, I'm wearing a mask, but only up to here.
Yeah.
Wait. I tell you, this is really serious because I used to be a stand-up comedian, so I look at the world through those eyes, and no matter what I do, that's my point of view. And I just don't understand the logic of somebody who doesn't wear a mask. I don't have much confidence in the species to survive. I think we're going to go the way of dodo birds.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have we're not thinking species. We're thinking individuals.
Definitely.
That doesn't work in the big scheme of things,
It
folks.
doesn't. Yeah.
That's not how species work. And then the other thing is, some species come and go. I mean, it's not only dodo birds. You know how many millions, probably billions, of species have come and gone, have become extinct. And we're just another species. I mean, we think like we're hot shit. We're just another species.
We are. It's refreshing to hear you say that because a lot of people are kind of like waiting for the end of the year.
God.
That seems to be the popular one. Like, hey, January 1st, it's all going away. We're wiping the slate clean. Or
right. We're waiting for the injection,
Yeah, or the one which I don't want to rag on too hard because all the more power to the people, but the ones that are just kind of sitting and waiting for some kind of like divine intervention.
Oh yeah, right.
Like that's all fine. Hey, if you want to wait
I'm sure saber-toothed tigers and dodo birds prayed really hard before they went.
Yeah.
I'm sure God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm coming. Wait a minute.
Yeah. But
But and then the like you say, yeah, we can go on for forever because that's all. The unfortunate thing is conversation. I have these Zoom meetings. Well, I have one a week. I don't know if I trust the internet anymore at all. I mean, it's good for some things and terrible for other things. But I do these Zoom meetings. But we're trying to just remain in contact with your friends and talk like me and you were talking. But no matter what, it devolves into talking about COVID because there's no input.
No, for
You're
sure.
in your house, so you're not. You're not going to ball games. You're not going to concerts. I'm a child of on stage audience participation, laughter or crying or awe.
Right.
There's no theater. That's gone, man.
Yeah.
Theater is gone. That's amazing. I mean, even the Greeks had theater. They didn't have the internet. They had, that's gone. All the stand-up comedians have canceled all their touring.
Yeah.
So
music.
it's just weird to try to change the subject, but let's try.
No, and it's one thing. We talk about all the stuff it's cool to hear you say you have a background in theater. That's what I went to school for first, so I can definitely identify with.
Yes, you know what I'm talking
in front
about.
of a live crowd. Like that's top 3 best feelings in the world when you have a room eating out of the palm of your hand. But one thing that I think a lot of people have been able to do is watch movies during quarantine, man. And, to turn the page, I mean, you, sir, your work has been with me all the way, I want to say, since I've been able to consume media, because
it turns out that I hear that because when I do podcasts, that's true. I never thought about that, but that's true.
And you had done such a good job of comedy, drama, even scary stuff. Like you've really been able to cover the gamut of what it is to be an actor. Like you've gotten to play, pretty much any kind of role that I can imagine and been on any kind of set that I can imagine.
I can only thank improv for that. People call up weird things. You got to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's just a very short step to, okay, I'm going to hire you to do this. They were doing it for free. Well, they charged to get in, but then they start shouting, bus driver, vampire. Okay, boom. You got it. So it's a little more pressure, but I just take it as the same thing. It's, you want me to do this? Okay. I give you an example of how close I'm talking about. I mean, from improv, so I'm talking Second City, the committee, to the major studios and stuff, is I did Bill Hader's Barry. Okay.
Yeah.
So I was a hitman. I was a Russian hitman, Stovka. And so I was very honored because I love Bill Hader, and the show wasn't on yet, but I was looking forward to it because I just love Bill Hader, no matter what he does. And he's done some bad stuff, but I love Bill Hader. And so I got the call and say, Bill Hader, Barry, that's really great, man, I'll do it. I don't, and they didn't want me to, I didn't need to audition, which was another honor, wow, man. They just called me and said, hey, we got this part. Will you do it? And I go, you bet, man, Bill Hader? I don't care. So then they said, well, it's a Russian hitman. I go, great. It doesn't matter whatever they would say, I would say great. Great. But then they said, well, he has to have a Russian accent. Can you do a Russian accent? And I said, yes, because that's what you do. You just say yes. Can you ride a horse? Yes, can you swim underwater for an hour? Yeah, sure. Okay, so I said yes, and then they said, well, but then would you mind if we had a Russian speech, accent guy, person? I don't know what they call him, but in Russian interpreter there just to work on the accent. And I said, yeah, that would be really great because really I didn't know if I could do a Russian accent. Now, when you're doing improv, you do an improv Russian accent, da da da, yeah. It's an improv. Come on, man. And then you get by. So I said yes, and they said, well, can we have a Russian interpreter there? Or whatever. I said yes, that's really great, and it just took a load off my mind, about being able to do it because I wanted to do good for Bill. If I'm working for somebody who I really look up to, you want to do your best work,
For sure.
Okay. So I get on the set, I get there, get in my costume, and I'm looking for this Russian, doctor, this Russian speech doctor. And I said, the Russian interpreter, the person who's going to help me with my accent? Nobody knew. And this was, the show hadn't gone on the air, and this was the first week of filming, I think. So they hadn't gone on the air. So and they were just beginning. I think maybe I was the second week of filming. They had just started.
Right.
So they didn't know each other. So everybody was a stranger to one another. So that was a weird question. Do you know it? No. And time is, and then finally Bill Hader, or the second AD, comes up to me and says, hey man, you're up. Okay. So I go up, I go, okay, hi, Bill, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, you got this down, right? Okay. Do you want to rehearse? Yeah, okay. So just lines, just talking back and forth. So I'm not worried about it then because you can just even talk like normal American. It's just you're doing lines into a camera.
Right.
Okay. And then he goes, okay, we're going to roll it now. Okay. And action, Larry. So I just did my Second City improv Russian because I had nothing left.
Yeah.
I shoot the whole day and nobody says anything. Bill doesn't speak to me at all the whole day. Except maybe, no, I didn't. Once he yelled cut, he would talk to the cameraman or to his writer. The writer, his writing partner, was there all the time. So he would just be busy with business. He's directing and writing and acting. So I didn't bother. So he didn't talk to me the entire day, which freaked me out because I didn't know, am I pulling this off? And if I'm not pulling it off, is he just letting me go because it's adequate and he's rushed and he doesn't want to stop? So it's freaking me out. It really is.
Right.
At the end of the day, it's okay, Larry's dismissed. And they give you a little applause every time anybody's dismissed. They go, all right, bye. I say, hey, Bill, can I talk to you for a second? And I'm really serious, Yeah, what? Well, I mean, you didn't direct me the whole time. And I was it was blowing my mind, and it really, I was very nervous the whole time. So could you tell me why you didn't talk to me at all?
Yeah.
He said, well, to tell you the truth, Larry, my partner and I gotta just turn this off. Okay, so my partner and I, he says to me, my partner and I didn't write it the way you were doing it. And we didn't know what you were doing. So there's nothing to do with the accent. He's talking about character now. I didn't want to go that far. He said, but he says, it was working so well, what you were doing, that we both didn't know what the fuck to tell you because we didn't know where you were going. All we knew was working. So I said, so the Russian accent? He says, yeah, the Russian accent was fine, man. It was all fine. He says, we didn't want to go near you because I didn't know what you were doing, man. But it was fine. It was great. Thank you. And then as I'm walking away, I meet somebody who says, hey, this is the Russian interlocutor who you were looking for at the end of the day. And it was a woman. So I just, because I was asking, I said, well, did you see the thing that I was doing? She says, yeah. I said, well, how is my Russian? She says, it's fun. So there you go about the dividing line between improv shtick and real acting. You know, it's a crapshoot.
That's a hell of a story. Like,
yeah, it blew my mind. But hey, fine. But when Bill said, we didn't know what the hell you were doing with the character, man, we didn't write it that way. And then when I got home and I reread the script that I had been given, I said, oh, I see. It was more, if you just look at the words and you forget about me, if you just look at the words, yeah, it was it was funnier. It was funnier. They wrote it funny.
I got you.
So I just, just went deep with it.
Right.
You know? And then at the end, and when I shot myself and went over, that the last shot was very funny with my 2 feet looking at. But even then, I gotta say something about Bill Hader, about his directing. First of all, 2 things. One is I've worked with maybe 2 or 3 in my time, in my eons of acting. I maybe worked with 3 directors who were really great. Like one of them was John Huston. I mean, he's up there, man. He's in the pantheon.
Yeah.
I worked with him. Okay. And then I worked with two others. One was, I didn't know he was great, but he really is great, is Larry David.
Oh, yeah.
And then one that, I worked with 2 more. But here's the decision I came to, or the information I found. Great directors don't direct. And when I talked to John Huston, I found out why. Because he didn't direct me, John Huston, when I did Annie. But he said I did a good job, and he was really in my corner. When there was an argument about what I should do and why I should do it, he stuck up for me. He said, he's the actor, he's doing it his way. I mean, he didn't tell me what to do. He just referred to me. He said, that it's a long story. I'll tell you one later. But so really good. And so Bill Hader wasn't directing me. So he was instinctively doing what the great directors I worked with have done. Woody Allen does not direct. I talked to actors, stars, who worked with him. And I said, well, what's he like? He said, he wouldn't direct me, man. He gave me no direction. I was like, I'm nervous, man. Just like I was the same with Hader.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, man, that's amazing. He says, yeah, he doesn't direct. He says, if he's directing you, you've done something wrong. So that was like really cool about Bill Hader not directing me. I don't know what the other point was, but that was what I was saying.
I would imagine, for you in that setting, after you kind of like get used to the fact that he's not going to direct you, after you get past that trippy fact, that would be someone that would be kind of cool to work for, in the sense where they trust you, that you know what you're doing. If there is something that they need to come to you. But
that's exactly what John Huston told me. But you just said.
Yeah.
What he said to me was, he said, the major job of the director via actors is the casting. Yeah. He said, you cast people whose choices you trust. So that, he said, 80% of directing is casting the right actor. Once you choose the right actor, then it would be, I don't know, he didn't use the word stupid, but that's what I interpreted. But he said it would be stupid for you to then start to direct him. No, you chose him because he's of his choices. Get out of his way is what you're trying to do. make or help him. And that was the other thing that I learned from, I guess it was Larry David and another director who I've forgotten. But what he did was yes, it was Larry David. Larry David did give me one direction, and it wasn't a direction, but what he was doing was helping me he came up to me and he said, I noticed on the set when we were shooting Seinfeld, what he would do is he would go up to his the regulars, like Seinfeld and Costanza, and, or every once in a while, because I was there a week, I guess. I think I was there a week, maybe 2 weeks. I don't know. He would go up to them and he would just whisper something in their ear. And then he'd go back, and then when they shot the scene again, you would see that actor was funnier.
Huh.
Now, it wasn't funnier overall. It was, I think, because I gathered that what he was giving him was a line, either a funnier line or a way to make what was there funnier. He wasn't telling him anything about character or, intent or anything like that. What he was doing was saying, say this instead of that. He would be writing. He would say this instead of that. And then they would do it. And it would be funnier every time. Well, it was pissing me off because he wasn't coming up to me. He wasn't making me funnier. And I was getting really jealous.
Yeah.
Hey man, but I'm here. I'm an actor. I'm a funny guy. Make me funnier.
Yeah.
Finally, he says because he doesn't direct. He stands on the side and he watches. And then I came to the director. Director's name was Tom. He would say, Tom, let me talk to, Michael. It cut. And then he would walk over to Michael. He'd pull him aside. And he'd whisper something to Michael. Then Michael would be funnier.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay, so then he goes over, and I heard him, and he goes, all right, I want to talk to Larry. Oh, man. I'm shot, man. It's going to make me funnier. He comes over, and he goes, now, I got to tell you, my preparation, my preparation was, when I read it, I said, okay, who is this guy? This guy, it's Buster Keaton. He's what do you call it? Passive aggressive.
Yeah.
He said, no. But but hey, man, So I said, okay, what I'm going to be is Buster Keaton. No, nothing. Blank. Not going to do anything. So that's what I was doing. If you watch, okay. It comes up to me. And Larry David comes right into my face and he challenges me. Like he goes, I know what you're trying to do. And the word that caught me, man, was trying. That pissed me off, man. What do you mean I'm trying? You got all these funny people. You hired me because I'm funny. I'm trying? What am I trying? Okay, so because I have an attitude. And if you just flick it, man, I'm in your face back. I don't care who you are. I mean, I do care. Yeah. It's just it's automatic. I can't control it. That's what I'm saying. Right. So when he goes, I know what you're trying to do. I go, oh, really? What am I trying to do? And he just goes, you're trying to do nothing. And it just blew my mind because that's exactly what I was trying to do. I mean, that's what I had in my head. Nothing. Do nothing. Buster Keaton. Yeah. So I go, instead of being angry, it just blew my mind. I go, oh, right. Yeah. I just got excited. I go, oh, yeah. That's what I'm trying to do. And he goes, well, you're doing something. And he walked away. See, now that's directing. That helped me get where I wanted to go. He didn't say, go do that. Or he didn't say, do this. All he said was, well, you're not doing what you want to do. If that's what you're trying to do, you're not doing it. And he walked away. That's brilliant, man. It's fucking brilliant. So other than that, one piece, But again, I think that's what brilliant directors uh, do, is that they get you, basically they get you to where they want you to be. But it's magic. I mean, they've chose you because you're going to go where I want you to go. I mean,
Right.
it's a priority. And then when you're not going where they, or where they see the laugh is. Now, again, both Bill and Larry in one way were the same. They left me alone because, no, I wasn't going where they thought, but I was going where the story needed me to go and where he needed the character to push the story.
Right.
In other words, what I was doing was helping move the story along. That's what they were watching. Is he serving the script? Is he serving the narrative? I was.
Yeah.
So, that's what he wants. He wants to move it along. As, the Balzac, there's a famous Balzac statue in France, done by some very famous sculptor. I don't know if you know. I used to be an art study major. But anyway, the sculptor who sculpted the famous Balzac statue.
Uh-huh.
Famous out the world. Okay. He wrote, somebody asked him, what is your secret? In other words, well, what is your intent? This is like asking an actor, what's the intent of this? What is your intent as a sculptor? What are you trying to do in all your sculpting? Is there one thing that is all through all of your work? And he goes, yeah. Well, the guy says, of course. Well, what is it? And he said, well, and I'm sure he had a smile on his face when he said this, but it's true because I checked it out. He said, all my statues are off center. They're off balance. If you look at the Balzac statue, he's standing like this. He's facing this way. Wait a minute. How can I do this? All right. You understand that? This is my face.
Okay.
Balzac's face.
Okay.
He's standing like this. And then I looked at all of his other statues, and even in his standing men, the seven prisoners, major works. They're all prisoners of life size, and they're trained and in a line, and all of them are just either standing or walking, but they're all together, chained by the neck.
Oh, wow.
It's a major work. And I looked at it after I had read this, and I looked at it, and every fucking one of those prisoners is either stepping forward, or if he's standing still or about to take a step, he's leaning backward. But none of them are centered and just there.
Yeah.
They're all off kilter. And it's the same thing, I guess, with directors. As long as the overall thing is imbalance, which he explained why. I mean, this is not just a quirk that he's just trying to trick people. It gives the work of art, movement. That's what he was going for. It's just the imbalance is something that draws you in. If everything is just static, it's boring. And so he just just a little, it's like putting a little dash of red in a field of green. Makes the green greener, or the red redder.
For sure.
So that's what, so it all, and it just blows my mind that instinctively, because I know that a lot of directors don't know how other directors direct, because they don't work for other directors. So they tell me that. They say, like, I hear you work for John Huston. What's he like to work for? And it's not an actor we're asking, it's a director asking.
Yeah.
But man, he's just cool. He's just like you don't know he's the same thing with Don Siegel, directed Escape from Alcatraz. I would ask him, first of all, I was looking for him. When I got on the set, it wasn't a rainy night. I got there at night. I got on a night boat. They were shooting on Alcatraz at night, and I was hired that day. Oh, and it was a night shoot. So so there was a boat going at night. I got there at night. But what they were shooting was the night that Clint Eastwood's character arrived, and it was raining that night. So that's why I'm mixed up. So it was only raining on the dock where Clint Eastwood, but they had shipped out a whole rain thing out to the island and set it up so that on this little thing where the boat pulls up, it's pouring. Well, the reason that I got mixed up was everybody was wearing raincoats, because the crew and everything, all the cameras were covered and stuff. So it was very hard to find the director. So I'm searching around. Does anybody know where the director is? He says, yeah, he's over there. But over there is just a bunch of raincoats.
Raincoat, yeah.
So I finally found him. And I go, wow, this is amazing. He said, oh, you're Charlie Butts. Yeah, how you doing? I'm the director. He's an old man. He's a short old guy with a lot of energy. And I said, what's going on? I said to him, like he's a buddy, because that's the way he greeted me. How you doing, man? Well, I'm working here, but okay, you just want. Well, what's going on? He said, I don't know, man. I think I'm gonna get fired. But I mean, he's that loose. He's that kind of.
Yeah.
He's joking around. He was joking around with me. He was always putting me on. It's like a term of endearment. I was getting kind of sick of it, but hey, man, it's Don Siegel. You do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what they all know something just instinctively. All the great ones, and they do the same thing. Like I don't know if they just say, don't direct. Just maybe they read the same article I did about John Huston.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Don't direct. It's 80% is casting. Okay, that's what I'll do. Maybe they just read it, but they all do the same thing. It's really weird. And the ones that aren't great don't do that, and it's really weird. Say, oh, you're directing me? You're not great. Okay, I'll do what you want, but I just, as far as me getting on podcasts and talking about you, I'm not going to talk about you.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry. Because they don't have, and the other thing is just for me, I'm not an actor, I'm a stand-up comedian.
Right.
So when a director really directs me, and I've had them really direct me and give me line readings and stuff, I don't know what to do with it. I'm not that malleable as an actors are different. I mean, the guys, the high wire acts, they swing from things at the circus. They swing and they catch.
Right.
They're different than you and me.
Yeah,
and directors are different than you and me. And actors are different. And stand-up. In other words, their point of views, because they're so professional, begins to switch. And they look at everything. Like I got to catch the ring, or I got to catch the bar, or I got to get the laugh, or I got to get this story straight for an hour and a half. I mean, they're all in that box, and that's how they look at the world. It's just interesting to me because when the director directs me, I don't have the chops. I don't have the chops of a real actor. Let me put it that way. I mean, I know you're going to say, yeah, but you're a good actor. Yeah, but because they chose me because I could do that. In other words, they didn't direct me into that role. Old Joe. I just showed up and did my Uncle Murray. That's my Uncle Murray I'm doing. Old Joe. I just showed up at the audition and I did my Uncle Murray because I said, man, my Uncle Murray is exactly this guy. It's not that I was looking for a character. It just said, this guy's Uncle Murray. Holy cow. I lucked out. I just did it, and then he never spoke to me again. Vince Gilligan. Great director. Incredible writer-director. He just... but there's other directors who I'll show up, even for an audition, and I'll do my Uncle Murray or somebody else, and they'll go, okay, that's good. Now try it this way. And I just can't do it. I mean, I can, but I don't get the job. Let me put it that way. Yeah. I do it his way, but I don't get the job. It's when they let me do me, or my my interpretation. Yeah, then I do it well. But the, the the great example for me of being an actor. What is King Lear? Okay, we got that. I can't do that. It'd take me years to be able to do that. Here's the other one, a really quick one. Have you ever seen the Mr. and Mrs. Smith?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, somewhere in that movie, I've never watched the whole thing, but I have watched this scene several times where they're fighting in the house and they're shooting and they're arguing and they're punching and they're liking one another and they're hating one another and they're shooting and they're fighting and they're killing and then they're screwing around and like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's acting. I can't do that. That's beyond my ken. That I get mixed up in the first 3 seconds. No, I can't do that. Don't even ask. I won't even show up. I won't even take the audition. I won't even audition for the job. I mean, it's just a waste of time because when you're young, you'll do anything. You drive an hour and a half to the audition.
Right.
And that's why I used to do that, and I started to see how it was playing out. The pattern was forming.
Mm.
If the director was giving me at the audition, or whoever was auditioning me, was giving me too many directions, it's not working. I'm out of here. And every time that I just did me, and they say thank you very much, I got the job.
That's kind of a good pointer for people who are going to auditions right now, like trying to start out, or just even in the day-to-day grind of it. Like if they're telling you to do it a bunch of different ways, things aren't looking the best for you. But if they just say thank you, and maybe you got a better shot at getting a callback then.
I tell these kind of stories to help, maybe. But on the other hand, I do know that some directors I haven't met yet, and the other thing is I'm not a star. So there's directors I haven't met, and I'm not a star. And I know stars are auditioned differently than we plebeians. They have discussions. They don't audition. They're called in to have a talk. They talk about the part, and they talk about what their ideas are and stuff like that, which is perfectly fine. I've only had one or two of those where they would actually just talk. But in those situations, and I have talked to other stars, and they say, well, yeah, they asked me to do it several different ways. Now, that goes against what I just told you. But they're stars, and they just want to see their stretch because they have to do an arc. I generally only have to do 1 or 2 scenes, so there's no growth in my characters, if you'll notice.
Right.
I come on, and I do what I do, and I stay that way. Old Joe, Stofka was the only one where it had an arc, and where I came in one way and I left another way.
Right.
Well, if you're the lead in the movie, yeah, you if they want to, you have like table reads if you're a star. You can have the book, and there's other stars with you who are going to be in the movie just to see the chemistry. There's a whole different echelon of auditions, quote unquote,
right, for
those people than us people. But you deal with it. You play the cards you dealt. I don't care. I'm a stand-up comedian. I'm not an actor, so it doesn't bother me either way.
If we could go back to Larry David in that episode where you were the actor within the series, within itself, playing Kramer when they're getting their option, which that whole story arc of them like dealing with trying to sell the pilot and everything, but you as the actor Kramer alongside Kramer, that comedy with the two of you, where Kramer is freaking out at you because, like you said, you're doing that stone face to him, and he's like, "Well, like if you're gonna be cool,
Oh no,
anyway."
you mean in the diner where he says, "No, I'm Kramer. No,
Yeah,
I'm Kramer."
yeah,
That
yeah,
scene.
yeah.
Okay, so what did you want to know? Is it
Just the
weird?
no, just the timing with the two of you. It's hilarious. It was hilarious
Oh,
to.
it was hilarious. But I gotta give you now again. Larry David never uh, talked to me in that scene. That was the only time he talked to me was that when he said, "I know what you're doing. You're trying to do nothing." But in that particular scene, no, I was Tom Pepper. I was the actor, and in the scene where or any other dried fruit, that was Kramer in the movie in the TV scene. That was Tom Pepper acting
Yeah,
as Kramer. Dried fruit, that was Kramer. Me doing Kramer. That was the thing. When we were arguing at the table, that's the greatest, one of the greatest framings I've ever seen of you know,
right.
it's just so funny and it's just perfect. But no, I'm Kramer. No, I'm Kramer. But then I was Tom Pepper, and I wasn't trying to do nothing. I was trying to stand up for the fact that I was a good actor, and I was telling the real guy that no, I'm as good as you, imitating you. It would be like, man, who's doing Mank? Where's that thing? Where is it? Right here. Hold it. Who is it? Gary Oldman or Oldman. Gary Oldman.
Yeah.
It's Gary Oldman saying, "No, I'm Mank." Not you.
Yeah.
It's the actor talking. So and that, but again, it is one of the funniest. It's just class because he was an icon. A Kramer character. The Kramer character. I don't know what it was, NBC or ABC, whatever. But when I was doing that, the entire time that I was on the set, either doing Tom Pepper with Michael, or doing Kramer in the scene, shooting it, there was always suits on the set. Guys from upstairs, men in suits, who just stand there with arms crossed like this, just watching me. And when I was through, they left. And when I was up, they arrived.
Huh.
Yeah. And I after a while, I was just getting bugged by it. Because every time they say, "Oh, Larry, your scene," I would come up and they would just, whoa. They would come up and they would stand right by the camera. And there would, so about three of them. They would stand there like this. And it's very disconcerting. And I finally went, "Oh, who the fuck are these guys, man?"
Yeah.
They said, they're from the production. They're from ABC. Well, what the fuck are they doing here, man? It says, Kramer character is a flagship character of the station of ABC, and they're protecting their interests. They want to see if you're doing it right. Are you serious? No, I'm serious, man. So yeah, man, and every time, I got sick of it, but I couldn't say anything.
Yeah.
And so I mean, there's a lot of things going on that people don't know about. These guys come down, checking on the franchise. It was the franchise. That's the word they used. Kramer is a franchise. So they're protecting. Wow. They want to see that they don't fuck it up. That's why they were there. So it's kind of weird. So that's when I go, well, I'm a stand-up comedian. Don't let it bother you, Larry. I say to myself. But it was really weird how they would just come and they would stand and then they would go. Then they would never do it to anybody else. Show business. It's show business. It's my life.
You got to be on the sets for at least one episode of so many of TV shows that from that Seinfeld time were iconic. Like you were on Friends for a while. You got to be on Home Improvement for an episode. Like you got to do a bunch of those. Did you have
Yeah.
one? Did you have one that you would say is your favorite looking back of ones that you got to visit?
During that time, or was that the
Yeah.
80s and 90s or something like
Yeah,
that?
like the I'd say like mid to late 90s, like that run right in there.
No, around the mid to late 90s, I was getting sick and tired of doing sitcoms.
Oh, wow.
And I really wanted to do movies. No, I wanted to do my own thing. See, I started up as a stand-up comedian, and I was very successful. You know, I was opening for Miles Davis and Woody Allen and Kingston Trio,
Wow.
Ian and Sylvia, Love and Spoonful. I was doing arenas. I was doing the Playboy circuit. I was opening for really big comics and big acts. So I was working off the top of my head. I never wrote anything. I would just get up and I would talk. Now, it comes from the open mic nights where you just get up and you talk, and then you try to remember the laughs you got, because I didn't know how to write a joke. I didn't know how to write a setup and a punchline. I mean, I knew how to do it. I just couldn't do it well. I wasn't a writer. I would say funny things. So luckily I had a photographic memory for laughs. So if I said something funny, I could say it again exactly the same the next night because of the laughs. And,
Right.
and my mind would dump anything that didn't get a laugh. So I didn't even have to remember. It would just dump and I didn't have to forget anything.
Yeah.
We just dump it and laughs, dump it, laugh. And I would have all these hunks. And I would just, every time I would get on the stage, I would just talk for 2 minutes. An audience will give you 2 minutes free. You don't have to be anything. They're just wondering. The first minute, they're just, where is this? What is this guy going to do? Is he going to sing? Is he going to talk? What is he going to do? And then the second minute, they've come to the decision. This is years of doing stand-up. And the second minute, they come to a decision and they're ready to walk out or give you grief. And they're just trying to decide when. But after a minute, they're thinking, this guy's, I don't know, man. Okay, so that's a signal. And you can feel it in the room, and you better get to your great stuff right there.
Right.
But then if it works, you just move it up and you just do another 2 minutes and move it up and da-da-da. So I was used to that, and anything else was not my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
So I could just dismiss it. It didn't bother me. So I didn't have, and I was getting to that point at the end of the 90s where I wanted to start working off my own head. I can't memorize lines and do these sitcom things where people don't know if I'm doing the right thing or not. Yeah, I would get a lot of, that's where I got the directors who were directing me. It was in the 90s. I was just getting tired of it. I mean, they were probably right for their purposes. For
Right.
sitcoms, because they're not one-offs. They hire, they do like 5 or 6 shows. So they know what upstairs wants, the writers or the producers. So I know that they were telling me things to save their own jobs or to make their sitcom funnier, but this is not my sense of humor. So I was getting really bored. I don't know. The only episodic televisions that I loved was Breaking Bad. I would watch it. I was glued. I was a fan. I was a full out, whacked out fan. And so to get the call was amazing. It's just like, it blew my mind.
Sorry, I can't help you with that.
Oh man, this is just crazy, man. Did you hear that? Siri is.
She's in the room with you.
Okay, there you go. What was it? It's amazing how they would. I forgot what I was saying. Whatever.
No, you were talking about getting the phone call to do Breaking Bad after being a fan.
Oh yeah. I was a fan. So I was really nervous about going in. Now it was a TV show, and I had, I didn't want to do TV shows anymore, sitcoms. But I was amazed at this, so I was stoked that I could get an audition. That was just good enough. I got the audition. That was like a marker for me.
Yeah.
As an actor. Wow, I got an audition with Breaking Bad. Holy cow.
Yeah.
I must be so good. But that was enough. In other words, I didn't think I would get the job. I'm not an actor. I'm a stand-up comedian. Well, how are they going to get? And he just gave me the job, and then he wrote me a long speech, because he liked my audition, and which I blew, by the way. I only, that long speech where I'm telling the cop to not go into Winnebago,
Right.
and I'm walking and talking, and they're in the Winnebago, so I got to keep them out, and it's on my land, and it's all legalese.
Right.
I improvised that entire thing.
Wow.
That entire speech was improvised because I couldn't memorize. I'm dyslexic. I can't. My memory is compromised. I mean, I can get it all in, and it's in there, but it's not in the right order.
Yeah.
It's just so the ordering thing to come out, it just discombobulates. So I just I didn't, but the audition was so good that Vince Gilligan directed one of the writers to write me a long speech. The audition was 5 lines. That's why I was so stoked. I have dyslexia. I'm dyslexic. I've got an audition with Breaking Bad, and if I get it, I can memorize 5 lines, no sweat. It's monologues that is the problem. Monologue. So I have to get the script sooner than everybody else, or as soon as the first person gets it. Mm-hmm. The earliest possible convenient way to get it to me.
Right.
And that works out. So if we get it early enough, I'm fine. But when I showed up on the set to do my 5 lines in my dressing room, along with my costume, was a monologue, 1 page long, entire page monologue. So I said to the AD, what is this? And he goes, "Oh, that's your speech." "What speech? I have 5 lines." He goes, "No, Vince liked your audition so much, he told one of the writers to write your monologue." No. And I lost it, man. Right in front of the guy. No, you can't do this. No, I can't memorize it. No. And he just backed away. He's an AD, just an assistant. Guy's about like 18 or 19, I guess.
Right.
And he just backed away. He said, "I got to get back to the set." And he just left. I said, "How long do I have?" He says, 2 hours. Boom. Oh, no, man. It's impossible. I tried, but it's impossible. But I wouldn't cop to it. See, that's another thing that I have. Say yes to everything. Can you ride a horse? Can you hold your breath? Yeah.
Right.
So I wouldn't cop to it. So I tried for 2 hours, and then the AD comes back. He says, "Well, you're up now. Got it memorized?" I go, "Yeah." Takes me out, get to the set, and it's I don't know if you remember, but it's long. It's a walking and talk. Well, I had figured out, clever me, I figured out how to do it. If they cut it into pieces, like cut to him, cut to me, cut to the inside, cut to me, cut back and forth.
Right.
Then if I can do it in sections, then I can probably memorize each section with enough time while they're doing it. So I go up to the director and I say, so he says, "Oh, he's all jaunty-dally," because I had shot 5 lines, my 5 lines that I had memorized in the morning. And that went well. That went really great. It was where I'm inside the Winnebago talking to Brian, just me and Brian. And he's just, and he just gives me the money, and I don't believe who the fuck he is. So I had this attitude to walk out, So he said, "Okay, so in the afternoon, we're doing this." And the director goes, "Well, hey, Larry, how you doing? Ready to go?" And I go, "Yeah." Totally disturbed. I just totally, Um, okay, so then I pull my ace card out. I go, hey, I figured out how to shoot this scene. So already he's like, really? How do you want to shoot the scene, Larry? Like, he's the director, I'm a day player. And it's, oh, you're going to direct. Okay. Well, how do you want to direct this, Larry? Well, see, why don't we just cut it up? See, do it in sections. And he goes, yeah, that's a good idea. We can do that, but we're not going to do it that way. What we're going to do is we're going to do a walk and talk. You're just going to go all the way down there and you're just going to walk. We're going to shoot it in one take, and you can go home after the first take. How about that? and I go, okay. Is that right? So anything wrong? No. Okay, get down there and about 100 feet down there, and just start walking and talking towards the camera, and we're going to rack focus as you come in, okay? And then you'll stop right about here at the end of the speech. You're done, and we got the limo right here, because we were in the middle of the desert to shoot that.
Yeah.
Or New Mexico. We're in the middle of that. So we got the limo right here. Limo is waiting to drive me all the way back to production. Okay, so I get all the way down there. He comes, okay, Larry, you ready? Yeah. Okay, and action, Larry. So now I had the first 2 lines cold, had the first 2 lines memorized. So I go, blah, 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 and now I'm making it up. I'm doing the equal of my improv Russian accent. I'm now improvising legalese, the old improv. So I'm doing improv, you got to stay out of there and I'm improvising this legalese that I got from the page that I can remember. It all has to keep the cop out of there. Just blah, 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 blah. But in my mind, because I have 2 tracks going in my mind, when I get to the end, he's going to say, you're fired. That's all I had. So I'm improvising and thinking those 2 thoughts at the same time. And I don't know if it's helping or hurting my improvisation. But I finally get to the end and I go, blah, 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 blah. And the camera's this far away. And he goes, okay, Larry, let's do it again. One more take. And I go, did I just memorize that whole thing by myself? That's amazing. He didn't say anything. He just said, let's do it again. One more, just for insurance. And I go, okay, wow. So now I'm elated. I'm going, wow, well, I can screw up now because he's got it in the can. We got it in the can. Oh, man, am I relieved because of the tension that I had. So I go back out there, 100 feet. Now I'm jaunty jolly, Maybe I'll improvise it this time. Okay, so he says, you ready, Larry? And I go, yeah. And then I see the script girl walking towards me. Now, the script girl is not a girl. She's a lady. She's a woman. She's a female person. And and what she's in charge of is the words in the script. And if you say any word wrong, she circles it. Or if you say a sentence wrong, she'll underline it. And she comes in and she shows you the book. So she's coming towards me. I know the drill. Okay, so I forgot, a word or 2. Fine, we'll do pickups. No sweat. She comes up to me and I say, okay, what did I forget? And she just turns the book to me. Everything is underlined and circled. Everything. I've never seen a page like that in my life. I've been in show business all my life. Never. And I go, well, I got the gist of it, right? And she says, the director doesn't want the gist. He wants it verbatim. She just says it like that. I say, okay, fine. And then I hear the director yell, anything wrong, Larry? No, nothing's wrong. I'm not going to cop to this. I am not going to cop to this. And I no. He says, okay. And then I see him walking towards me. So now I think, all right, this is when I'm walking towards the camera, that's a good sign. When people behind the camera are walking towards me, it's not a good sign.
Yeah.
And the director's walking, he's got the cinematographer says, "Where are you going? Aren't you going to stand by the camera?" He's talking to the director. He says, "No, I'm going to walk with my actor." And I'm going, "Oh no, man. This is like kindergarten now." He's going to open with the open book and he's going to walk. I want to get out of there. And he walks up to me. He says, "I'm going to walk next to you, Larry. Is that okay?" I said, "Yeah, it's fine." I'm just very low key. I'm just keeping it in. I know I'm going to get fired. Now I just have to go through the dance is what I'm thinking. And I'm just waiting for them to get to the point brave enough for them to say, "I'm sorry, Larry, you're fired." So he says, "Okay, so I'm going to just walk next to you. Where am I out of frame?" He says. And he's about right like it's like a cowboy. It's just, from the belt up. Okay, cool. All right. So he's right here. And he goes, "Okay, you ready, Larry?" And I go, "Yeah, I'm ready." And he goes, "Okay." And I just started improvising again, exactly the same. I tried to do exactly the same thing I did the first time. Figure I got nothing to lose. Okay, fine. And he's walking, and I can see just out of the corner of his eye, I can see like the book or something like that. But he's walking, and he's keeping up, and he's not saying a word. Nobody's saying anything. And I'm blah, 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 blah. And I get to the end, and he goes, "Okay, Larry, thanks a lot. Larry's dismissed. Everybody, thank you very much, Larry." In a limo, boom, and I'm zoomed up. I go, "What just happened, man?" So I have to wait 2 weeks to see the show. To what? I mean, he didn't holler at me. He didn't give me any direction. He didn't say you're fired. Nothing. Just thank you very much. Great. So, all right. I told my friends to watch it also. And I asked them, I said, "When you saw the show, what did you see?" "You were walking and talking and keeping the cop out of the Winnebago." "No, that's not what you saw. Tell me what you saw." "You were walking and talking and keeping the cop out of the Winnebago with all his legalese." "That's not what you saw." "I'll tell you what you saw." "Okay, what did we see?" "You saw me say the first 2 lines. It was on me. After the first 2 lines, they cut to the cop's reaction. Then they cut inside the Winnebago where they were just whispering to each other, then back to the cop, then back to my face for 2 seconds while I said something right in the right place, and then went back inside, and they cut to me one more time, but it was all on reaction shots of inside and the cop. And what they had done, the improvisation was, they had taken my both improvs and edited it into the right amount of time and the right amount of, in other words, I said the right kinds of legal things, but not in the right order. And I said other things that didn't apply to what the situation was. So they just edited out all the stuff that kept the cop out of the Winnebago.
Yeah.
And then put that together, put it as a voiceover. And every time I said something correct and they didn't want to cut back and forth, they cut to me saying something correct. So in that scene, I timed it. I'm on screen for 7 seconds. 3 times. 2 seconds, 2 seconds, and maybe I think 1 second or maybe 2 seconds. Just say, just so I was there. But movies is magic, and you can't fail in movies. It just taught me a great lesson. If you're bad, they're not going to use it. If you're terrible, you're just not in the movie.
Yeah.
But you only use your good stuff. And if it's no good stuff, you're not in the movie. So there's no way that the audience can see a bad performance, because it's edited out. And everybody thinks I was really great in that, as old Joe. And I guess I was, but my stupidity is on the editing room floor. It's so cool. And
it's really
also kind of cool.
It's really cool to hear you tell that story, having like fresh out of film school. And I mean, we hear all those stories from our teachers, dawn until dusk for 3.5 years. But to hear you, who has had the career that you've had, tell a story about one of the argumentably the most impactful television shows in this generation. To hear that story from there, I mean, thank God they did 2 times. Like, that's the other thing.
Well, he
It's
wanted
like,
to cover himself. In other words, here's what I try to figure out how that happened, and what I can. And you're a film school student. Is that true?
mhm.
Okay, so I'm asking you if this sounds valid. I think I am sure. Oh, because I did ask the script girl when she said the director wants you to say it verbatim. My question to her was, and this is true, I said, I want to talk to the writer because I wanted to plead my case and say, look, I improvised that. I can't say it. Give me something easier to say, or let me say it my own way. That's what I was going to say.
Mhm.
Let me talk to the writer. And she said, the director wrote this. So that cut off, boom, right there. But so using that information, I memorized the first 2 lines. After I said the first 2 lines, that director who wrote the speech
Yeah.
knew I was improvising and didn't know what the fuck I was doing. He knew it, but he let me go all the way through. The reason he was standing next to me on the second take was he wanted to see if my second take would fill in the gaps of what I didn't say that was needed in the first take. Because I said a lot of things that were needed in the first take. He just wanted to cover himself. So he did a second take, and I did. I covered it. And he said, goodbye. Had I not covered it, I would have done a third take of improvisation, and he probably would have said, yeah, but just say this.
Mhm.
So luckily, it all turns out the writer and director was directing, because otherwise there would have been calling up, what can we do? The guy can't say it. Should we fire him or should we just forget it? And, there would have been a kerfuffle. But this guy was just covering himself. And so he went to film school.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely one of the things they always tell you is coverage is like a word that is said like in crazy amount of times. Did you get coverage?
Coverage, man.
Coverage, like, because
Yeah,
you
he
never know.
covered his ass, and that second take was the coverage.
Yeah.
But it worked out perfectly because nobody has ever, and there was a lot of that stuff. For Breaking Bad, because see, my dyslexia, directors kind of like my kind of acting because they think I'm an actor, so they like to throw things. Vince did it once or twice, and he learned that I wasn't an actor, that I just had to memorize what you give me, and I do that well.
Yeah.
When I was doing in El Camino, I had a long speech. Vince liked me, so he would always give me more than what was on the page. He just I guess he liked the character of Old Joe, because when in El Camino, I had a long speech walking around the car, looking for the what do you call it, the alarm, with
Yeah.
thing. And I was walking and talking. Again, he likes to give me walking, talking things. And I was having a hard time with it, and he knew it. And he saw it because we were doing a rehearsal, because he had 3 cameras on just me for that walk and talk. There was 3 moving cameras around the car. And so I said, why are we're going to have to, he said, we're going to have to rehearse this a lot because I got 3 cameras. And I'm saying, why you got 3 cameras? Why is there 3 cameras? No, I said, what are they shooting? And he said, they're all shooting you. I want to get you from different angles. I said, okay. So now I knew it was complex. And as I rehearsed for camera, he saw that I was having trouble memorizing the speech. So he just goes, all right, I want to talk to the camera crew about the moves and the cinematographer. So let's all meet in the TV village. Let's have a meeting with the camera crew. So he called the camera crew. He says, everybody, let's take a 10-minute break. And he said, as just a throwaway, Larry, just rehearse while we're inside. I go, okay. And he went inside. But what he was doing was he was making me rehearse. And he just covered it with this meeting about, and I knew it. And I knew, I think everybody knew it. Because all I did for fucking 10 minutes is just walk around that car. I didn't leave that car. I just kept on walking around and around. And then when it turned out to be really cool. See, again, it's just luck. Because when the meeting was like 2 or 3 minutes. Then you saw the 3 camera operators and the cinematographer come out and watch me. They're just standing there watching me. And they weren't pissed off or anything. They were glad because they saw exactly what I was doing and they were timing the moves and they were composing it. So one of the cinematographers, which you never do, again, never in my life did this ever happen except this one time, a camera operator came up to me and he said, when you come around the front headlight, can you just pick your head up just a little when you're talking, right about here? And I go, okay, why? He said, the camera is moving and I'm panning up. And if you just pan up, it'll be just a really nice move as you go by. And I go, cool. And all of them were watching me and planning that I can really get a good move, seeing where I was going. Because I was doing it exactly the same each time. And so they were very happy. And the scene came out really cool. And then when I tripped over one of them, in one of them, he kept it in. Vince kept it in. So where I stumble. Yeah. It's like so real. I thought, oh, fuck, I'm going to have to do this again. And he goes, no, I'm moving on. Thank you. Because you're going to correct it. You're not going to trip the next time. No, forget it. We're doing it. That's funny. That happens a lot. Well, to me anyway. Where I'll do something that I think is, oh my God, I fucked up. And the camera goes, are you kidding? We're leaving that in. That's great. That happened with the donut on Home Alone.
Yeah.
That was like a major, I don't know. Do you want to hear about that?
Yeah. That, I mean, to be part of that thing, that became like a phenom within itself, like overnight, man. That movie came out and instantly that thing was huge.
Yeah, and that piece of donut on that phone, I swear to God, I believe truly that it's more famous than I am. Really, because everybody who's seen Home Alone wants to know one thing. How did you do that, man? How did you plan that? It was a fucking, I ate, first of all, they asked me, they said, it's a very long story. I'm not going to tell you, but I'll just tell you about the donut thing. They asked me if I wanted any props to do that role. It was they wanted me in the movie, and it was the only role available.
Oh yeah.
They wanted. They said, "Look, we want you in the movie for a lot of reasons, which will take me an hour to explain. But they want you in the movie. But we only got one part. But we'll pay you a huge fucking amount of money to do this little part." And I said, "How much?" And they said, "We'll fly you first class, limo to and from both airports. We'll get you back in your bed. We'll only shoot you for a half a day, 2 hours, and we'll pay you $10,000.
Wow.
Will you do it, please?" "Okay, yes." I said, "Yes." Oh, I was happy as hell. So I did it, and they said, "Okay, done. Do you want any props? We have we get your sizes and stuff for you're a cop. Do you want anything?" I said, "Yeah, I want one glazed donut." That's what they said. That's what I said. They said, "Okay, you got it. Okay, limo will pick you up on blah, blah, blah. Take you to the airport." White limo picked me up. Okay. So I get on the set. Now, when I got on the set, next to the camera for my one glazed donut, they had a baker's trolley You know what a baker's trolley is? It's all those trays stacked up, a 6-foot rolling thing.
Cart. Yeah.
Cart filled with glazed donuts.
Holy God.
250 donuts they got.
Jeez.
Next to the camera. I said, what the fuck? I asked for one glazed donut. He says, well, maybe we'll do 2 takes. You know, coverage. Coverage. Well, as luck would have it, we shot that scene 11 times.
Wow.
Because of mechanical failures. The lights blew, those big hot rain down glass, they had to clean it up. The camera went off the trolley once. The camera jiggled once. There was somebody dropped something. There was a sound glitch once. I mean, everything. And they thought it was cursed.
Yeah.
So they thought the scene and the show was cursed. Okay. Finally, on the 11th, so I ate 10 donuts. And then on the 11th donut, because in the middle of every 10 takes, just as we were getting to the end or right in the beginning, the director, Christopher Columbus, would yell, cut. All right, mechanical failure. Everybody take 5. It's a no cut. Everyone all the way through. You know, glass all over the place. So when the 11th take finished and the director yelled, cut, instead of, mechanical failure, everybody just fell down laughing. So I thought, oh man, that means that I fucked up. It's my fault now. That's why they're laughing. Because, I'm a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
So that's what I figured. So he says, so I got really depressed. When everybody was laughing, I got depressed. And then Christopher Columbus rushes over to me. He says, come here, I got to show you this. I go, oh, man, what? He says, I want to show you what we just shot. I said, I don't want to see it again. Just let's do it again. I don't want to see it. I just want to do it again. He said, I just want you to look at this. So he comes over and he says, play that. So we play it, and then I see the thing, a donut drop, and it sticks to the phone. And I go, oh, man, all right, let's do it again. He says, no, that's going in the movie. So, again, it's, like Breaking Bad. No, it's fine. You improvised it. It's working out terrific. It'll work perfect. It's just capturing lightning in a bottle and luck. And I mean, movies is magic. That was that's my friend's of mine's production company. It's called Movies is Magic. And it is, man. I mean, what you see on the screen has nothing to do really with what's going on the floor, which I mean the set. It's well, I mean, but it's so different. It is not real life at all, and yet you're trying to manufacture real life, verisimilitude. These people got to buy it. You got to be real. And there's nothing real going on anywhere. There's green screens. There's improv Russians. There's Klieg lights breaking and donuts falling. And there's a guy who cleans up the crumbs after every time I ate a donut. There's a man special. He's got a little, sweeper, and he comes up and he goes where my desk was and he sweeps up the crumbs from the glazed donuts 10 times. Again, I mean, and I don't know. That's the part I love, and you can see because I talk about it. I don't talk about the roles. I talk about what's going on.
Yeah, no, for sure.
It's fascinating, man.
I would say that the things that taken away from being someone who's learning that side of things, hearing you say, talking about the improvisation of being on the set and the dialogue and stuff. I can tell you some of the best videos that I have made, but in any vein that I've tried to make them, but the funny stuff, the memorable stuff, that when we screen a film, that people laugh at the most is because we've established kind of our core group that we like working together, and you build that,
Right.
that repertoire with each other.
Right.
Most of the stuff that makes people laugh that we do is improv, and it's gone.
Right.
It got, you get to a point, especially at the, at the entry level of things where you're not, taking, working with stars and stuff, where you can appreciate the fact that the improving and rolling with it and dealing with like stuff like a camera going off of the track, like that's the kind of stuff that I have the appreciation of hearing, because that's the stuff that happens, and you deal with that shit. Like it's gonna happen. Like you will have to deal with that stuff. And so,
well, it's making movies to me is problem solving. That's,
yeah.
I mean, the guys who I admire the most, along with the star, if they're really like got chops and know what the hell they're doing and blow my mind, but along with that and equal to that is the crew. The crew solving problems, like, if not only a camera going off the dolly tracks, but the dolly tracks not being around, and how they jerry rig dolly tracks, or they jerry rig balancing things, or they jerry rig lighting, or where they just scotch tape, duct tape, and a prayer, baling wire. I mean, they're amazing, man. On Escape from Alcatraz, it just blew my mind. The crew, I mean, they're out in the middle of San Francisco Bay. To order something, they have to go to the mainland, to San Francisco. They have to get it on a boat, drive it out, float it out, to the island, ship it upstairs. But so they would just find stuff, or they would bring stuff with them that they knew they could jerry rig anything. I mean, these guys were critical thinkers. They were thinking on their feet all the time. The movie crews are amazing, man. They just, they're geniuses. As a group, the group is a genius. I've seen them come up with stuff. It's a pleasure to watch those guys. I mean, it really is.
Well, Larry, man, I thank you very much for spending part of your Saturday with us today. It was a super awesome conversation. I would love to get you back on down the road and hear some more stories, because again, you are, you're in all the stuff that growing up, like I've said when we introduced, from Breaking Bad all the way back as far as Seinfeld, like we thank you, man, for the laughs and the memories.
Oh, thank you very much. One question I got to ask you. How many times have you seen Billy Maddison?
Billy Maddison is one that your character, Carl, in there, as many times have I seen it. My favorite scene that you do in that whole film is you're kind of the guardian angel, obviously, for Billy, but Eric is such a douchebag in that film, and being like a 13-year-old watching that movie for the first time, when you do the weasel laugh or whatever you guys do.
Shit. I could have told you. I could have read your mind. The weasel laugh and the crumb on the telephone is going to be on my epitaph. I'm sure. Steve Reeves, whoever that guy was who played Superman, he committed suicide.
Reeves. Or George Reeves. Yeah.
Reeves. He committed suicide because he couldn't outlive the Superman role. Nobody would hire him. He goes, you're Superman. Oh, you're the guy with the crumb, with the weasel laugh. Yeah, I don't do that anymore. I don't do it. I mean, I get requests. I get fan mail. Would you please, like on Facebook, would you please do put it on the Facebook, do the weasel laugh? Just got one the other day. No, I my excuse now is my doctor forbids me to do it. That's what I tell him. It's doctor's orders. I can't do the weasel laugh anymore. I did that against my will, by the way. I did that against my will. He fooled me. I don't know where he got that from.
Really?
Yeah, I did that in high school. And Adam Sandler on the set right before we shot that, he said, I hear you do a weasel laugh. And it just blew my mind. I haven't done it since I was in high school. And I go, how did you even? And he wouldn't tell me. I said, who told you that? And he said, do it for me. And I wouldn't do it. It was during lunch. And I said, no, I'm not going to do weasel laugh. It's stupid. He said, come on, I hear it's funny. And he kept on, and he wouldn't let me go. I mean, the guy was just tenacious, man. He wouldn't let me get up. I was eating at another table. He called me. He says, come here, I want to ask you something. Went over, and he goes, what's this weasel laugh? And I said, no, I'm going to go back. He says, no, man, I want you to do it. So finally I said, all right, I'll do it. And then you let me go back and eat my lunch? He says, yeah, do it. So I did the weasel laugh, and he laughed. And also the other people at the table laughed, at his table. And they said, see, I told you it was funny, he says to me. And I said, okay, can I go finish my lunch now? And he goes, yeah, goodbye. And I went and I finished my lunch. And then when we finished lunch, we shot that scene. And in the middle of a take, in the middle of the first take, because we didn't rehearse it. We didn't want to rehearse it. And in the middle of the first take, he goes, hey, Carl, why don't you do that laugh for whatever her name was? And he goes, and so because I was an improviser,
Yeah.
and it was a take, my professionalism kicked in, and I just instinctively did it.
Yeah.
And he says, yeah, see, blah, blah, blah. And then when the director said cut, and I said, okay, well, I'm not going to do it again. Now I know I'm not going to do it again. Adam said, no, let's move on. And he wouldn't let me.
Wow.
So I was trapped, and he was always pranking me, Adam. I don't like that. To this day, I don't. I mean, he's a good actor. Yeah. So that was pranked into it. I didn't want to do that, and it just instinct. He got me right in the middle of a take. So yeah, people come up to me all the time. Hey, do that laugh. Fool me once. It's on me. Fool me once, it's on you. Fool me twice, it's on me. So that was the once.
Damn, the only time you're ever going to see Larry do the laugh is watching Billy Madison.
Yes. Yeah. So I get the residual.
Damn, what a bonus! Like that's like the perfect epilogue to the interview. Like that little bonus story right there of how Carl's weasel laugh. Again, man, thank you for taking the time out, Larry. We appreciate it very much, man.
Okay. Anytime. Take it easy.